Ooh, yeah, I don't even have you up on here either.
And so it appears we are live. Just going to give myself just a few minutes. Got to bring up one other thing on my screen. But welcome, everybody who has joined us tonight. I know we'll get into we'll be acknowledging who's in here in a second. But if this is your first time to the show, you've found your way to the CarrGuy and SixFan show. And this is meant to be, there we go, mute. This is meant to be a weekly. It's a subscriber hangout, guys. We want to talk some cars. We want to have some fun with you. We want to build some community. Jason and I started this venture to help us out with the road to 1,000 subscribers, and we're both. He's there. I'm almost there, but we also want to grow you guys, and so we want to do this together. So again, CarrGuy and SixFan show, and if it's your first time, I'm only half of the title. This is a co-host operation. I'm Grant Tommy. My channel is Straight SixFan that you are currently on. I like to focus on budget-minded, relatable, creative builds, a little something like call off be hot rodding. But like I said, this is cooperative, so turn it over to the co-host to give you a spiel about himself.
That's right, guys. So thank you very much, Grant. My name is Jason, and this is the CarrGuy and SixFan show. I am the CarrGuy, obviously. So my channel, Old Car Auto Guy, focuses on the day-to-day runnings of my used car lot and some of the projects that we've got going on, and the occasional shenanigans. So the shenanigans, I think, is what draws people in, and some of the day-to-day stuff is just what people watch to keep informed. So thanks for joining us. We've got a few new faces in the chat already, which is great, and I see everyone's kind of piling in here all at once, and we want to make sure that we are acknowledging everybody as they come in. So we got Kip from America Bumper to Bumper is there, Burning Rubber Garage, and somebody new I don't think I've seen in here before, the Miniac, and he says his name is Zach. Hey Zach, how you doing? Rust Belt Mechanic. Who else we got there, Grant?
Oh, well, we've got the JC Smith Projects, Classic Ride Society, 410 Auto Tech. I believe Miniac is part of the Small Engine Nation crowd. I believe that's a mini bike reference, if I'm not mistaken. Off the top of my head, Classic Ride Society, Doug Sweener, of course, Po Boys Diesel, Car Mods Garage
is in the house.
Car Mods Garage, welcome. I'm sure for I Am Caper, Boost Rodeo Garage, man, they're piling in. Miniac, yep, Mini Coopers, that's right. He's the Kansas City guy. My bad, I didn't see the avatar, so. My apologies. He's one of the newer ones that I've networked with. So, and just a reminder, so we've got 14 in here now. I don't know if we will be able to eclipse the 42 at one time that hit last week. And of course, that was thanks in part to Rust Belt Mechanic, who sat in the co-host chair. And so thanks again, Kyle, for taking my place. I know you were kind enough to show me some more love here this week as well. But I kind of want to get into and Jason, if you've been keeping notes, you can drop in at any time, any channel we have missed there. But did want to get into the discussion, and what we like to do weekly is we like to talk cars. In fact, we're all car guys here. So the topic that I wanted to kind of throw out there, which I thought Jason and I laugh all the time about all the similarities we share, and this week I got to add one more to it because just out of chance, it's time to sell off the wife's 2010 Ford Taurus, and so I need to pick the brain of the guy who sells used cars for a living. And so it got me thinking, and I feel like I already probably do a fairly good job with this at the moment, but I thought, you know what better chance than to pick the brain of Jason. What kind of pointers would you give anybody for photo documenting or taking pictures of your used car as you are putting it up for sale?
Well, I'll always give one of the things that I try and do. Now, I'm guilty of not following this rule just sometimes because things are so busy at work and we are limited on our resources for manpower sometimes. But I always use the 12 picture rule. So 12 pictures is generally the four corners of your vehicle, also the four sides or ends of the vehicle, and then four interior pictures. So when you're doing interior pictures, you always want to do the driver's side door open and just kind of a general shot in. You also want to do the dash with the engine running so people can see that there's no engine lights or trouble lights, and they can see the mileage. You also want to do the console area. So basically, you want to have your phone vertical, so you can see the radio, the heater controls, maybe any heated seat controls or automatic or standard, all that sort of stuff that they can see all in the one window. And then last but not least, the fourth interior picture would be the back seat. So those are the ones that I always try and do when I'm putting posters or pictures of my vehicles online, is the 12 picture rule. The more, the better. But those 12 I find are very important. When you take those pictures, it gives a really good 360 of the vehicle on the exterior, and then of course those main components inside.
Well, out of dumb luck, I came pretty close to hitting that. I did the 4 corners, the front, the rear, the 2 sides. I think maybe only 3 interior shots. But what was a really good tidbit that I didn't even think of, I didn't start the car to take the console picture. It was just, the key was in the ignition, and so yeah, the battery was on. But yeah, I didn't even think about that to prove, there's no. That's a really good. I like that. That's a really good pointer. I had not considered that. Like I said, I got a console shot. I think a back seat. I'll have to send you a link to my Craigslist ad, and you can give me a grade, Jason.
Okay, so my brother Jim is on there, and he's asking why not the trunk shot. So like I said, it's always good to have, you can always have more than those 12. Those 12 are very important simply because they're key areas of the vehicle.
It's like
the front and back seat, people want to see. Exactly. People want to see how clean or dirty your car is. Do they really want to see what's in the trunk? Well, maybe not necessarily, but if it's clean, take the picture. If you've got a hatchback, pop that hatch and take a picture of the inside. So I'm not saying that you're limited to those 12. The more the merrier, like I said.
And I will say, and if there's anything special about your car, like we all know, like aftermarket modding doesn't necessarily increase the value of a car. 99 times out of 100, it doesn't. But if there's something that you think actually helps tell the story more or sells the car a little bit more, like for instance, on our Taurus, I did do a brake upgrade. It's got slotted and dimpled rotors, and I took a picture of, just the wheels so you could see that through the wheels, like to prove I'm not just plucking fancy terms off the internet to try to tell you, try to sell you on something. I felt like that kind of tells the story a little more. Now, does that give any value to the potential seller? Maybe not, but it tells the story.
Well, and where the value is if those brakes are fairly new, then yeah, it's adds value. Like when I sell my cars, I don't necessarily take pictures of the brakes or the actual tire tread depth. When I'm buying them, I look for that on the auction. They'll tell you how much tread is left on the tires. So when you're selling it, it's just as easy to say they're brand new tires, or they are like new tires, or the tires are good or fair or whatever. Same thing with the brakes. If you know that you just did, $1,000 worth of brakes all the way around, like last fall maybe, then it's always good to put that in there. Say the brakes have been done recently, and people look for that stuff. It's one less question they have to ask, and if you're willing to offer the information, then it's more transparent during the transaction.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, so guys, there's 17 watching. We definitely have eclipsed that before. If you don't mind taking a moment and just sharing the link, telling your friends on social media, if you could tweet something out real fast or anything, we'd appreciate that. The thumbs up, of course, always helps. But so we always talk a little automotive news, but then we also like to kind of give you guys a little insight in between episodes, what might be going on with our channels. And so with that, Jason, what's kind of your channel update for the current moment?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to add, it's not really a channel update per se, but there's a story that I'm going to add to an upcoming video that basically talks a little bit about some of the experiences that car buyers have at the big car dealerships, like the new car dealerships. And sometimes what happens is they take advantage of the fact that people don't know much about cars, so that when you go in to that dealership and you start asking questions or needing some work done, sometimes they can have, be taken advantage of. So in an upcoming video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about one of those ways you could be careful and how to not be taken advantage of at your car dealership in more ways than just the sales aspect. I had an experience in the service department at a local Mazda dealer, so I'm going to share that in my video. But it's good to hear some of those things coming from a car dealer, kind of as a customer point of view. So that'll be upcoming on my video in a couple videos from now.
Well, and in the meantime, we had a couple new followers pop up in the chat. So we've got SNR Motoring, JRC54, and Rough Rods Restos for sure. If we haven't mentioned you, just wanted to kind of acknowledge. Thanks for dropping in. So channel update for me, and in fact, I got home and I realized, so I got a haircut tonight, and nearby where I was getting my haircut, I was supposed to go pick up socket number 3 for the oil pressure sending unit saga, because what I failed to acknowledge since my last video, I went and bought a 1-inch socket. Well, then I found that was actually still too big. The threaded ring is actually a 12-pointed ring, so the reason why my 15/16-inch socket for my impact driver wasn't fitting on was it was either too thick wall to get in there, or it was the 6-point was not getting around. So I continue to fight that, but I say all of that also to point out, I realized even though life's stressful right now for Project Low Fairmont, and I feel like I don't make a whole lot of progress on my weekends, is I need now to just motivate myself with a real bona fide deadline, so I can try harder to avoid instances like that from week to week. And so that new deadline for me is July 26th, which is there's a car show which is about 2 hours away from here. It's a rat rod. It's called the Lead Sled something or another in Salina, Kansas. And I want to kind of make hopefully a YouTuber meetup out of that. But I want to get Project Low Fairmont done where I want it to be able to drive that. So that's my new sort of self-imposed deadline, and to help motivate me and get some real things done. I'm kind of milking some of these smaller tasks a little longer than I should. But speaking of YouTuber road trip hangouts, I did also want to mention that if you haven't watched my last video about Tube 66, it's meant to, that's going to be the more probably bigger YouTuber meetup this summer. So definitely go check out that video in the first one. You can learn more about that. But on this platform, our CarrGuy and SixFan show, we do plan on from time to time talking about that more and more, because I want to get feedback more real time. Maybe we can talk about some intricacies of the details through this format, and it might work out better. But anyway, well, Jason, we're kind of getting to that part of the show where we talk about YouTuber growth hacks, or maybe tips and tricks. And so as long as I'm talking about the Tube 66 video, one of the things that I'm currently trying to challenge myself with, I've done some sort of dissecting or studying of some of these bigger car shows, like, you'd watch on, we've talked about this on many episodes, Spike TV, Discovery Channel, things like that. Is I've found that they don't normally talk for much longer than like 90 seconds to 2 minutes at a time before they're transitioning the scene or showing more action. So I feel like there's probably better studies out there than my own data, but I think this is the direction I want to head for. I think that's going to really help total audience engagement, where they watch more of an episode all the way through, as if you have this sort of rhythm or cadence to it. And, the attention span, the average attention span, resets itself, I think, on somewhat of that cycle. But anyway, that's kind of my little tip or trick. I don't know if it necessarily works, but that's mine for this week. Jason, what do you got?
Well, first of all, I'm going to try and figure out a way to keep my dog from barking here while we're doing the show. So, but secondly, one of the things that I want to keep everybody in the loop of when it comes to growth hacks is don't forget to promote your channel within your videos. And what I mean by that is don't forget to use your end screens and your cards. Your cards are a great way to make sure that the people who are watching can find something associated with the current video that you're talking about. And you'll notice a lot of YouTubers, Grant and I think, do it all the time, where we just point up to the corner of the screen and a little white box comes out, and that's another video. So if somebody is watching you and watching your videos, that's a great way to promote another video that they can come back and watch at a later date. Same as when the video is done, you can add an end screen that is the very last 20 seconds of your videos, where you have a chance to promote up to 4 of your videos, whichever ones you want, because you can assign them however you want. So if you're not using those, make sure that you are. And it's a great way to keep those people who are watching you, keep them interested in your channel by not just watching the one they're watching now, but if it's got related content or you just want to try something new, another video. That's always a great way to keep promoting yourself and keep things moving forward. As we move on through the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I see in the chat, Novitaz said that YouTube's trying to get rid of the cards, which I won't miss them, because I always thought they were like bumper stickering up some good looking videos sometimes. But I also have a rule of thumb where I say, you know, if YouTube's giving you the tool, they definitely want you to use it. So just go ahead and use it. So that's why even though I don't like them, that's why I use them. But I do also know that earlier in the chat, Rust Belt Mechanic was sort of alluding to, you know, those bigger shows. They also like to push the wallet a little more than you and I. And you know, you can do a lot more even without a bigger budget. You can do a lot more with a cameraman. Like if somebody can walk around with a camera, you can already do like almost more things than you and I can with a tripod in ourselves. So I acknowledge there's definitely some things that might be unfair comparisons to those bigger shows, but there's also something you can always learn from them. But anyway, Jason, what were you gonna hit on there before I sort of cut you off?
Well, before we move on, I want to make a point to say that for I am Caper, in his last video, he dedicated 2 end screens, one to me and one to you. So I haven't got there yet to see that video, but thank you very much. And that is another way you can use those videos, is to highlight another channel as well. So you don't have to just use it for yourself, but that's what they're there for, is to promote videos, whether they're yours or somebody else. So as we move on through the agenda for tonight, we're going to talk about our subscriber updates. And right now, this time last week I was at 1053, and as we sit right now, my subscriber count is at 1113, and I can't do math tonight, but that's a pretty big jump once again. And so I've made it up over the 1100 mark, and so if you guys are just tuning in, you know that I reached my 1,000 subscriber goal about a week and a half ago, and I still need those watch hours to be able to get monetized on YouTube. Grant is just the opposite. He now has reached his watch hour goal of 4,000, and he's now trying to get to the 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you guys are watching this video right now and you haven't hit the subscribe button for Grant's channel, I encourage you to do that now. Grant, what was your update for your subscriber count this week?
So I appreciate you had done the homework and found my subscriber. You announced it on last week's show, so thanks, because I don't know that I was preoccupied with some other stuff. So that was 951 last week, and I'm only up to 964. So. But honestly, I'm still not complaining. These 2 subscriber a day averages is well beyond anything. Like I would say back in November for sure, I was tracking it, and it was like it'd be like 4 in a week. So. You know, this thing still continues to be a great avenue for growth, not only for me, but for all of you guys in the chat. And, you know, to Jason's point, because he is he's after that watch time. If you haven't seen all 11 episodes of the CarrGuy and SixFan show, we both have playlists on our channels. So just go to that playlist and catch up. And every other episode, you're helping one of us out. And hey, if you can't stand listening to me talk all the time, just watch all of Jason's. Skip all mine.
So I did notice that I got to find it here now. It says I couldn't see who said it, but they said do more live feeds, and I agree. Live feeds are a great way to build that watch hour base time in a hurry. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing, you guys all saw on Instagram, if you follow me there, that I posted a Q&A. And when I post to Instagram, it hits two other venues. So it hits my Old Car Auto Guy Facebook as well as my Old Car Auto Guy or my personal Twitter account. So I've had some questions coming in from all three, and I'm thinking of what I want to do is do an actual live feed for that Q&A. And by doing that, it's going to get some people in here, and I'm thinking that probably on maybe Sunday afternoon is the time that I'm going to do that, because I've already got a video set up for Saturday, and I want to space it out between Saturday and my regular Tuesday upload. So it's a good idea to do more live stream. I agree. Live streams do build a lot of watch time in a short period of time. So I'm thinking I want to do that at least for the Q&A, and hopefully I don't make a complete utter fool of myself.
Well, speaking of Q&A, Jason and I always try to leave a little bit of window of time in this platform for Q&A within. So you guys start thinking about questions you want to ask us right now. But I did see one way earlier in the chat. I don't know if Car Mods Garage is still around, because Jason and I, while we try to monitor the chat as much as possible, sometimes we don't catch everything, because we also we want to run the show in a nice format for you guys, have some flow and some rhythm to it. But way earlier, he'd asked about swapping motors, and wanted to know if most people would suggest, it sounded like he wanted to know, I think it's an Eclipse, a Mitsubishi Eclipse is what he was talking about. But I jotted it down as fast as I could. Wanted to know, do you recommend dropping the motor in with or without the transmission? And, I have zero experience swapping motors, but I would think, even just mentally thinking through a front wheel drive car like that, I would almost think that with the transaxle, you almost would have no choice, but I don't know, because I don't have that. Oh, good. He's still in here. I don't have that experience. So Jason, if you know, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I don't think there's one specific answer for that. I think every vehicle is different. There are going to be some that are very, very much the same. There's a couple of ways you can pull a motor on a vehicle depending on your equipment. One way is to drop the engine and the transaxle together right from the subframe. So basically, you're going to disconnect all your electrical, and you're going to drop the subframe and your suspension all together as onto the ground as you lift the car on a hoist. There's going to be areas in people's do-it-yourself that you're probably not going to have a hoist. You're not going to be able to do that. But there's other ways where the engine can pull out through the hood, like you would on a V8, that you do have the room. We just did one on a Chevy Orlando a couple weeks ago, and I think it was probably 6 hours to do a re and re. I like pull one out, put another one in, and the car was running. So some vehicles are a lot easier than others, and it just depends on the amount of room inside the hood space. With a lot of these newer vehicles where the windshield comes so far out into the hood compartment, you lose that space. Obviously, you can't take the windshield out of your car. So others, you have the ability to remove the radiator support in the front with a couple of bolts. So that creates a little more room to pull it out through the top as well. So depends on the vehicle, and it depends on your equipment. So if you don't have a hoist, you're probably yanking her up through the top. And in some cases, the transmission will come with it. Other cases, you might have the room to squeeze it over and pull it out.
And then sometimes you have instances where you lift the body off of the vehicle to do what you want to do with the motor. Like some of those, I think, Power Stroke, what are those 6-liter EGR cooler things? I think there were some Mustangs that sometimes too, you unbolt the motor, you leave it on the ground, and you pull the car off the motor. So I've seen that before. There's, what do they say? 50 ways to skin a cat or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, again, guys, if you have any questions for us, feel free to drop them in. And I will say, we do have some flexibility to go a little bit longer tonight. I'm not going to go 45 minutes because you guys didn't give me 1,000 subscribers like I asked kindly. No, but we can spill over the 30-minute mark a little bit. But you can do it. Thanks for dropping in.
Yeah, so guys, if there's a couple of you can do it. I don't think I've seen him into the chat here before. Maybe I have, and I just don't remember, but welcome. And if you haven't hit that thumbs up yet, guys, now's the time to do that, as well as if you haven't hit the subscribe button for Straight Six Fan, this is your opportunity to do that as well. Don't forget to ring that bell. That makes sure that you guys are getting updated on every time the videos get dropped and when the reminders are set for the live streams.
And so in the meantime, while you guys are still thinking of just stump the chump type questions, Jason and I usually like to give a channel shout out each episode. And so with that, I'll start. And a good friend of both Jason and mine, who's also kind of right where I'm at in terms of about to hit the 1,000 threshold, is Hodgepodge Garage. He has been in on the chat once or twice in our all 11 episodes, but Yoshi is finally back to, he's had a crazy life the last, he's kind of started a new business venture. He makes duck calls. He hand turns on a lathe acrylic and makes duck calls. Rogue Ambitions is his company name, but as the name implies, Hodgepodge Garage, he's just a maker and a creator. He does have a 72 Sebring satellite build. He's doing kind of resto mod. But he also, he'll do projects, Weekend Warrior projects, anything from carpentry to home improvement. So anyway, Hodgepodge Garage, after the episode's wrapped up, we will put links in the description below, or I will. Jason, who do you got this week?
Well, we did acknowledge You Can Do It. He says this is his first time. He is a CarrGuy and SixFan virgin. So welcome to the channel, guys. If you haven't hit up his channel, please go do that now. And same with You Can Do It. If you see a lot of guys in here, we're all car guys, and we all support the car YouTube industry in different ways. So don't forget to check those guys out as well. So my shout out this week is to a YouTuber who usually joins us this week or every week on our live streams. I don't see him in here. So Uzolu Garage has 861 subscribers, and I believe his name is Steve. I don't think I've caught that more than once or twice, but anyways, Steve does a lot of car cleaning reviews, so waxes, detail sprays, different types of products that he uses there, and has a really good channel that highlights a lot of that stuff. So if you haven't reached out to Uzolu Garage, we will put that link in the description box down below. And go over there and hit them up for some love, and make sure that you're commenting, you're engaging on everyone's channels, because we know that with the new algorithm of YouTube, that if you're just going over there or you're not watching at all, then they're going to kick your subscription from the channel. So remember to keep commenting, keep subscribing, giving everybody thumbs up. That is a part of what we do here. Grant, do you have any final words before we close off tonight?
Well, I did want to kind of piggyback on Uzolu. Yeah, he does a lot of car cleaning stuff, but I was commenting on a video, and he kind of said, yeah, a lot of people don't realize I do more. Some of his earlier content, he actually had a Fox Buddy build. So there was I dug through that playlist a little bit and found he had kind of some budget build parts. Now I don't. He may have oversold the name of that video because he didn't really talk about why he considered each part kind of a budget purchase, but that's okay. There was good stuff in there for my for Project Low Fairmont that I know I'm going to kind of reference back to. So know that. And then S&R Motoring kind of asked us to give him a recap since he had to put his daughter down to sleep. So we will start right now. Just kidding. So anyway,
there's no better excuse than he's got to go back and watch it from the beginning. See? Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, that's why we do what we do.
I'm looking out for you.
And Jason, I did see Rust Belt Mechanic and he says he left a comment on your last video, but I think it would probably turn out to be a pretty good video for you to kind of explain a little bit about what does your Canadian yearly inspection that the vehicles either pass or don't pass. What does that inspection entail? So I think that'll be probably a good future content piece for you.
Yeah, and I'll make sure I go back and write that down. I got a list because I've got, like I said, 3 different venues now. I've got the couple of questions here, so we'll make sure that we have. I have put a list together before I go live because I want it to be as seamless as possible. So I will note who it's from. I will note which venue of social media it came from, and then we'll answer as many questions as we can. I'll probably keep it short, maybe a 10 or 15-minute stream. But I will post on my social media what time specifically I'll be going live, in hopes that you guys can make some time for that. So also, before we leave, Novotaz, you asked me if I'm going to be joining you on Sunday. I'm going to do my very best, buddy, to make sure that I'm there as part of your panel for Sunday evening. So guys, this is where we come to a close. We're at basically our half-hour point. Hopefully by this time next week, we'll be somebody else into the 1,000 subscriber club, that we can make an extra 45-minute video, so that we can talk about all kinds of other things. So Grant, thanks so much for helping me let you host this show this week on your channel. And as I end every video, guys, stay focused on the windshield, not the rearview mirror. We love you. We'll see you next week.